In this lecture, I'll be talking about another group of mode mixture chords, and these are chords where the root note is actually a borrowed note. So we're talking about the chords whose roots are scale degree flat 6, scale degree flat 3, and scale degree flat 7. Let me show you the handout again. The second group of mode mixture chords that I want to cover is this group that includes the flat 6 chord, the flat 3 chord, and one that's not discussed in chapter 23, but that I think is one that you should know about, which is the flat 7 chord, or the subtonic chord. Let me go back to the chalkboard for just a minute. Okay, so we're here in the key of D major again, and the flat to the left of the Roman numeral here indicates that the root is not scale degree 6, but scale degree flat 6. So this is not a B minor chord, it's a B flat major chord. And notice that for this chord, in order to make it a major chord and not an augmented chord, we need two accidentals. We need the B flat as the root, and then we also need the F natural as the fifth. So that's flat 6. If we use the minor third in the key of D major, the F natural, and if we build a major triad on that, the chord that we have is flat 3. Yes, we still call it flat 3, even though this note is lowered through the use of a natural. So the fact that it's a flat 3 chord doesn't mean that its root is F flat. It just means that the root is may rather than me. And here's another chord where you need to not only use an accidental on the root, but also on the fifth, so that you have a good major triad. And then finally, the third chord that I'll be talking about that's not covered in your textbook is the subtonic chord, the flat 7. Again, the note that we're using as the root is not literally a flatted note. It's a natural note, not the leading tone C sharp, but the subtonic C, and that gives us a major triad. So these are all major triads, and their notes include lay, may, and te, all borrowed from the parallel minor. So let's start with flat 6. Okay, flat 6 can do a number of things. First of all, there are a number of different ways that it can have a tonic prolongation function. We can go from a 1 to a flat 6 and back to a 1. And that's literally a tonic prolongation. All it's doing is prolonging tonic as a neighbor chord. By far the more common tonic prolongation usage is having bass arpeggiation that connects 1 with either a 4 or a 2 diminished 6, or occasionally a 2 half diminished 6/5. Now notice that if we're using the mode mixture flat 6 chord, the predominant chords that it leads to are also going to be mode mixture chords, okay? And the bass is arpeggiating down do to lay to fa. And it's a somewhat rarer thing, but we can also use the flat 6 to precede 1 in a plagal cadence. That's another tonic prolongation function. But let's go back to the second bullet point and let me show you an example of this on the chalkboard. So here I've got this bass arpeggiation, do to lay to fa, and then going up to sol for the dominant chord. So basically we have a tonic chord, a tonic prolongation chord, leading to the predominant chord and leading to the dominant chord. And both of these chords are mode mixture chords. If you introduce the B flat in the flat 6 chord, it doesn't make any sense to go back to B natural. Keep the B flat and allow the lay to resolve down to sol. Two more uses of the flat 6 chord. It can act as a predominant chord leading to a 5 or a 5/7. Usually it doesn't lead to a 7 or a 7 diminished 7. It's possible that it could, but you almost never see that. The other thing where flat 6 is very effective is that the 5 or the 5/7 can resolve not to 1, but to flat 6 in a striking chromatic deceptive progression. And this is an example of a tonic substitute function. Let's see voice leading examples of these two things. First, here's the second one that I mentioned, the tonic substitute. We have a 5/7 chord. We expect it to resolve to 1, but instead it resolves to, flat 6. Okay, and remember the voice leading for this. You want to double the third in the deceptive resolution chord so that the T can go up to Do, and so that the re is going down to Do in contrary motion to the bass. You don't want to have parallel fifths with the bass. Since this is a tonic substitute chord, it's a good idea to put 2 tonic notes into it. Okay, and then finally, here's an example of a predominant chord, the flat 6 leading to 5/7, and then from there leading to 1. Okay, voice leading is kind of tricky here too. It wouldn't be a bad idea necessarily to double the third in this chord. Here I did it just to show you that we could do it without doubling the third, but it's as I said, a little tricky. Let me play these 3 examples for you, again on the very out of tune piano. I'm going to start by playing 1-4-5-1. I'm going to do that actually before each one of the progressions so that you can first hear 1-4-5-1 to get your ears attuned to D major, and then I'll play the progression, and then I'll do the same thing for the next and the next progression. Okay, and here's my progression. Presumably from there we go to 1. Okay, here's establishing progression again. Okay, 5/7. Oh, very badly out of tune. Sorry about that. And look at this. I forgot the F natural in this chord. Shame on me. Okay, what did I say? You need 2 accidentals to make this a major triad, not an augmented triad. Okay, and then finally the last progression. Let me go back to my handout, and let me just say a couple of things about the flat 3 chord. The flat 3 chord can act as a 5 of flat 6, so we can have the progression flat 3, flat 6, 2 diminished, 5, 1. Again, once you have 1 mode mixture chord, then you tend to keep mode mixture until the phrase makes its way to the cadence. The other use for the flat 3 is leading to a 4 chord, and especially it can harmonize the descending line Do, Te, Le, Sol. So you have a 1 chord and then a flat 3 harmonizing Te, a minor 4 harmonizing Le, and then usually back to 1 to harmonize the Sol, although you could go to a 5 chord as well. Let me show you some examples from the textbook. And if you have your textbooks in front of you, I'd like you to turn to page 549. In fact, it might be good for you to pause the video and get your textbook so that you can look at the book and maybe even write some notes in it. But I'm going to start on page 549. First of all, there's some good examples of part writing. We're in the key of A major for example 23.7. What is the mode mixture note in A major? What's lay in A major? Well, A major scale degree 6 would be an F sharp, so it's an F natural. So many of the chords that we'll be talking about will have an F natural in them. So you can see here another example of a flat 6 as a predominant chord leading to 5/7. We also see here a case of a deceptive resolution of 5 to flat 6. Notice the doubled third in the flat 6 chord. Here's an example of flat 6 prolonging tonic harmony, going from 1 to flat 6 to 1. And here's an example of flat 3 leading to flat 6, flat 3 acting as 5 of flat 6. And then flat 6 leads to the predominant chord, which leads to dominant, which leads to tonic. Let me just play a couple more of these examples. Here's a flat 6 chord that serves as a chromatic passing chord connecting F sharp to F natural to E. That was pretty short. Let's listen to it again. I'll just play the beginning of this so that you can hear that deceptive resolution of 5 going to flat 6. And the last example I'll play you is this example of flat 6 prolonging 1, alternating between the 1 and the flat 6 chords. Okay, so that's a big plagal cadence that involves flat 6 going to 1, and then flat 6 going to minor 4, going to 1. At this point, I'm going to stop. My final lecture on chapter 23 will take up the flat 7 chord, and I'll also be talking briefly about the mode mixture tonic chords.